The lobby floor still mirrored the chilly Monday lights as she glided the mop, invisible to everyone racing to meet their deadlines. Tapping shoes, steaming coffee cups, and buzzing phone alerts made up the daily chorus at Halberg International in Fort Worth. Kevin Sanchez, on his way to the 18th floor, was mentally reviewing the agenda for the 9 o'clock meeting when a voice made him stop. It wasn't just the flawless Mandarin, but the confidence behind it. He turned, expecting to see an early arriving consultant from Shanghai. Instead, he spotted the employee in a burgundy uniform, twists pulled into a ponytail, standing beside the digital directory. With ease, she switched from Mandarin to crystal-clear Spanish, and then to unhesitating French, guiding a stunned visitor toward the elevators. The calm motion of her hands clashed with the lobby's nervous rush. Sanchez blinked, trying to remember her name. It had never been more than a quiet nod in the hallways, always silent, always out of the spotlight, and now she was a polyglot in front of everyone. He took a few steps forward, taking in what he'd just seen, a ridiculously rare talent hidden behind a cleaning cart. Questions crowded his thoughts. Who was this woman? Where had she come from? Why was she working here? More than curiosity, he felt urgency. If skill of that caliber was mopping the floor, what other gems was the company letting slip by? Sanchez was strolling absent-mindedly down the hallway when he heard a conversation in Mandarin coming from the service area. The employee polishing the water fountain finished the call, turned to a courier, and in the same breath switched to Spanish. "Necesita que firme aquí o abajo." The young man blinked, murmuring, "Sí, gracias." Without missing a beat, she pointed out poorly labeled boxes to a confused supplier and corrected him in French, offering a light smile. The director felt a pang that wasn't irritation but guilt. He'd spent 20 years shaping global operations, hiring interpreters, running cultural workshops. And there, in his own building, the most skilled person he'd met in months was holding a squeegee. He approached respectfully. "Excuse me." She set the bucket down, calm. "Yes, sir?" "Was that Mandarin?" "It was." "And Spanish? French?" She nodded. "How many more do you speak?" "Portuguese, German, Arabic, Italian, Swahili. I read Latin, but I don't really count it." 9 languages. Sanchez needed a moment to process it. The hum of the conveyor belt seemed to fade as he pictured contracts across continents, meetings with no interpreter, savings that never made the spreadsheets. How much talent was hidden there behind rubber gloves? He took a deep breath. There were still shipments to send out before the end of the shift, but the most urgent delivery would be figuring out why that polyglot was still invisible in the basement. There was no trace of arrogance, just the solid certainty of a well-aligned beam. It took Sanchez a second to grasp that the woman who polished the marble every night carried the whole world on her badge. "What's your name?" "Vanessa Morris." "Miss Morris, could I have a few minutes of your time?" Her eyebrows rose, not from fear but from reflex, the instinct of someone who'd spent years being overlooked. After a brief silence, she agreed. Sanchez held the elevator door open until she stepped in. Inside the cab, the air felt suspended. "I've worked here 13 years, Vanessa said as the numbered panel climbed. "I never thought I'd be invited up." "Sometimes things change in a blink," he answered, almost thinking out loud. The bell dinged. Vanessa stepped ahead, her light footsteps on the hardwood gleaming under the executive suite lights. The hallway smelled of citrus and leather, an aroma that spelled capital better than any spreadsheet. Sanchez's assistant looked up, surprised to see the janitor next to her boss. He offered no explanation. He just waved them through. In the glass-walled office, he pointed to the chair in front of his desk. "Please, have a seat." Vanessa sat back straight like someone getting ready for an exam she knew by heart but had never been allowed to take. She settled slowly, fingers interlaced, eyes scanning every corner of the room. No awe, just careful noting. Behind the manager, a world map studded with pushpins. Beside it, espresso cups, a photo of his daughters, and a forgotten trophy from a conference in Brussels. There was no trace of arrogance, just the solid certainty of a well-aligned beam. It took Sanchez a second to grasp that the woman who polished the marble every night carried the whole world on her badge. "What's your name?" "Vanessa Morris." "Miss Morris, could I have a few minutes of your time?" Her eyebrows rose, Not from fear, but from reflex, the instinct of someone who'd spent years being overlooked. After a brief silence, she agreed. Sanchez held the elevator door open until she stepped in. Inside the cab, the air felt suspended. "I've worked here 13 years, Vanessa said as the numbered panel climbed. "I never thought I'd be invited up." "Sometimes things change in a blink," he answered, almost thinking out loud. The bell dinged. Vanessa stepped ahead, her light footsteps on the hardwood gleaming under the executive suite lights. The hallway smelled of citrus and leather, an aroma that spelled capital better than any spreadsheet. Sanchez's assistant looked up, surprised to see the janitor next to her boss. He offered no explanation, he just waved them through. In the glass-walled office, he pointed to the chair in front of his desk. "Please have a seat." Vanessa sat back straight, like someone getting ready for an exam she knew by heart but had never been allowed to take. She settled slowly, fingers interlaced, eyes scanning every corner of the room. No awe, just careful noting. Behind the manager, a world map studded with pushpins. Beside it, espresso cups, a photo of his daughters, and a forgotten trophy from a conference in Brussels. He pulled up his chair, leaning forward. "Vanessa, I'll be straight. I wasn't expecting this conversation today." She nodded, spine tall, expression neutral. "Not long ago, you slid through 3 languages like someone flipping channels. Why is someone like that here, mopping the floor?" Vanessa stared at the window and turned back. "You really want to know?" "If I asked, it's because I do," he said. "All right then." She rubbed her hands, testing the temperature of her memories. "I was born in Toledo, Ohio, an only child. Dad was a pipe fitter, Mom a nurse tech. We didn't have much, but books were a given. I got a full ride to Kent State, majored in linguistics, started my master's. Halfway through, Mom got sick. I came back to care for her. 6 months later, Dad had a stroke and died. The whole structure collapsed." She tilted her face, rewinding. "I got pregnant soon after. No money, partner gone, I took whatever came. Store cashier, nursing home aide, odd jobs. Life turned into an endurance race." She stopped, letting the silence hammer every word. When the cleaning supervisor offered the graveyard shift, Vanessa accepted without blinking. Working nights, she could pick up her daughter from school and still cover the light bill. That's how she ended up here, bucket in hand, head full of irregular verbs in 5 languages. Sanchez followed every word. "And the languages?" he ventured. "I never gave up books," she said firmly. "Public library, old tapes, foreign newspapers, anything to keep the rust off. It's what reminds me I still count." She spoke plain, nothing fancy, just the naked truth. Most people, she explained, never wanted to know. They looked at the uniform and drew their own conclusions. The word conclusions hung in the air, heavy. Sanchez leaned back, feeling that story settle in his chest. "I don't want pity," she went on. "Life happened, I handled it. You asked, there you have it. Brilliant," he jotted down. "Brilliant and asking for nothing." "Ever thought about another path?" he asked. Vanessa shrugged. "Sometimes, but it's hard to dream when rent's due every month." The next silence wasn't empty. Something was forming inside it. Sanchez scribbled another line. Vanessa cocked her head. "What are you writing?" He looked up. Between budget revisions and supplier calls, an idea was starting to take shape. It was 3:45 p.m. when Sanchez left the carpeted 28th floor and took the service elevator. He wanted to check something in person. On the mechanical floor, the air was warmer, ivory walls scratched by carts, the constant rumble of ducks. He passed mechanics, the break room full of fluorescent jackets, skirted stacks of water bottles, and walked into the storeroom. Vanessa was stacking microfiber cloths. "Can I bother you again?" he asked. She turned, surprised. "You came all the way down here?" "I can't stop thinking about what we talked about. I need a favor." She wiped her hands on her shirt. "What favor?" "The Sao Paulo team showed up early and the translator bailed. Can you help?" Vanessa hesitated a moment. "Portuguese? Sure, I can." Minutes later, they were in room 4C. 4 Brazilian executives checked their phones, uneasy. Vanessa slipped in quietly, nodded, and started speaking steady Portuguese. The atmosphere changed. Shoulders relaxed, eyes steadied. She wasn't just translating. She was building bridges, making everyone feel seen. When a visitor cracked a joke, Vanessa fired back with another and drew laughs. Sanchez didn't catch the words, but he felt the connection. 20 minutes later, the meeting ended. One of the execs turned to him. "She's better than any interpreter we've had this year. Where'd you find her?" Sanchez watched Vanessa gather empty cups. "Right here," he said. He quickened his pace down the hall to catch up with Vanessa, the employee who minutes earlier had live translated for a deaf visitor and saved the front desk from a fiasco. "Have you ever worked as a professional translator?" he asked. She shook her head. "I just help out at clinics and notary offices. I never got a degree. My daughter needed me more." "And now where is she?" "She's 26, a nurse in Tempe. Paid her tuition pulling shifts, stubborn like her mom." They laughed. For a moment there was no badge or hierarchy, just two people trading stories. In the basement, Vanessa clocked back in. 2 more floors still needed cleaning. Before the shift changed, she said something that would keep echoing in his head. "I didn't do anything special today." He raised his eyebrows. "That's not what I saw." Vanessa smiled and went back to work. Hours later, out in the parking lot, Sanchez sat in the car, hands still on the wheel, while the building's signs flickered on the windshield. He went over contracts, deadlines, investor pressure, and the diversity talks. He'd burned through fortunes on headhunters, conferences, and ads. Still, the day's most valuable moment had belonged to the person who ends the shift pushing a cleaning cart. If the gold had always been there, under his own roof, what would he do at dawn? When the next day broke, Vanessa's badge beeped outside her normal hours. She had just parked the cleaning cart when she felt the supervisor's light tap. Ron didn't look mad, but his tone was odd. "Vanessa, Mr. Sanchez wants to see you again." She frowned. "Did I do something wrong?" "He didn't say. Just asked you to come up." Drying her hands on her apron, she stepped into the exec's elevator. On the way, heads turned and whispers crossed the halls. Even the receptionist gave her a conspiratorial smile. In the executive suite, Sanchez, facing the window, held a coffee cup while the city sprawled below. Without looking, he said, "Come in." Vanessa stopped near the door. He turned and set the cup down. "I've been thinking about how much talent we waste," he said, as if studying a chessboard. "A lot of people never get a second chance, not because they can't, but because no one sees them." She listened in silence. She'd seen empty speeches before. "I'm creating a job that doesn't exist here yet," he went on. "We need someone who can translate cultures, welcome partners, read nuances in documents, keep us from international missteps." Her words stuck in her throat. Surprise and caution fought for space. "Do you know why I asked for this talk?" he asked outright. She kept her posture, though her shoulders showed caution. "I have no idea," she replied, holding his gaze. "What you fixed before 9 made me revisit our reports. 3 crises, 3 languages, 0 hesitation. Is this an official offer?" Slipped out. "As official as it gets. And I already know your pushback. You don't have a degree." She opened her mouth, then closed it, but he went on. "Degrees matter, sure. But your resume is living experience, discipline, and 9 languages. I wouldn't trade that for any piece of parchment." "People will talk," she pointed out. "Of course they will." "So what?" he said, tapping the table lightly like sealing a deal. She drew a deep breath. "I've never had a desk, don't know how to fill out a report, and I don't own the right clothes. HR will handle the wardrobe. Reports are learned faster than the stories you've already lived." A short laugh escaped her. "I see you've calculated every detail. I'm just fixing an old oversight. Your shift downstairs will be covered. They'll find someone, but not another you." The silence that followed made room for one last doubt. "You're sure this isn't charity?" He extended his hand. "It's a debt. Time to pay it." She bit her lower lip and held back the shine in her eyes before it turned into a tear. "All right," she said firmly, the voice of someone owning her destiny. "I'll show you what I can do." He held out his hand. She fit hers into it. It wasn't a simple handshake. In that instant, the company's story started a new chapter. Neither of them imagined the whirlwind that would sweep through the hallways. On Wednesday morning, the buzz traveled faster than any elevator. Vanessa Morris, the employee who polished desks after hours, had been vaulted into an executive role. Facts were scarce. Theories were plenty. People said she spoke 5 languages, that the CEO himself had interviewed her, that she might have served in government intelligence. The talk jumped from screen to screen, ricocheting off drywall dividers like a stubborn echo. Many congratulated her. Some raised their eyebrows. A few turned up their noses. In the break room, two marketing analysts poked at almost undressed salads. "I've got an international MBA," whispered the first, "and I've been waiting for a promotion for 2 years." "She was scrubbing the bathroom floor last week," the colleague reminded her, setting down her fork. The other woman shrugged. "Maybe she knows something we're missing." The fork tapped the plastic bowl, keeping an awkward beat. The hallway seemed to shrink. Outside, the boardroom door swung open, promising more twists. Vanessa walked past security with a badge that still smelled like fresh plastic. She'd barely stepped off the elevator on the 12th floor and could already feel the chill of the stairs that were coming. The company looked cutting edge, but everyone knew her hire was just one more line in Sanchez's diversity report. The office reserved for her was tiny. A simple desk, a blank monitor, a weary fern. Still, for someone who'd spent years on the night shift, the room felt like another planet. When orientation was done, Vanessa asked HR for her old uniform. She wanted to keep it in the drawer, a daily reminder of where she'd started. A little later, Victor, the director of international operations, showed up. No handshake, just a clipboard and a sharp question. "You're the bridge between the plants?" "That's what they say," she shot back. "Ever walked corporate hallways before?" "From the outside, I've always watched closely," she said. He didn't laugh. He dropped a stack of papers. Reports from Italy, contracts with Dubai, a supplier crisis in Sao Paulo. "I need answers. Can you handle it?" "Give me a few hours," she replied, feeling the weight of the folder. Without another word, Victor left. The clock raced toward evening, and Sanchez appeared at the door, hands in his pockets. "First day. Everything okay?" Vanessa leaned back in the chair, feeling the uniform fabric in the drawer like an anchor. "I've worked in tougher places," she said, ready for the next round. The door had barely closed, and Vanessa was still holding the dossier when Sanchez's voice broke the silence. Was Victor's threat that harsh? He didn't seem shaken. "You're probably wondering why I picked you," he said, leaning on the frame. Vanessa figured a bonus would have done the trick. The answer came out dry. "Because I see myself in you. I never swung a broom, but I know what it's like to be ignored. My dad patched engines in a place nobody visits. I pulled triple shifts to get through college. Plenty of people swore I didn't belong in rooms like this." "Now you're the one who decides who gets in," she replied. "Exactly." A brief silence followed. Vanessa lowered her eyes to the folder, feeling her pulse quicken. "I'm nervous," she admitted. "Good. It means it matters. Some folks will hate it. Let them deal with it or get left behind. We move forward." He straightened his jacket. "You've got a real story, and starting today, you've got a stage." When he left, the office filled with the hum of possibility. Vanessa moved around the room and pulled from the drawer a worn badge, a keepsake from cleaning shifts, lunches cried out in the restroom, nights when she got home with burning feet and only enough energy to heat up soup. She kept the badge not to forget, but to feel the price of that chair. Now, though, that journey wasn't just hers. The spotlights were about to get brighter. On Thursday afternoon, a new nameplate appeared at reception. Vanessa Morris, Cultural Advisor, International Affairs. Brushed steel, plain lettering, a sign she was staying. Less than 24 hours later, an email from Sanchez went company-wide. No frills. He laid out Vanessa's path and stressed, this wasn't a favor, it was merit. The hallway, though, filled with whispers. Managers compared resumes, analysts turned up their noses. The talk changed once Vanessa started making the rounds. In silence, she reviewed contracts in 3 languages, untied footnotes that had been bleeding money for years, and returned spreadsheets with subtle fixes, each one saving real cash. No speeches, just result after result. Monday comes. On the 12th floor, the Moroccan delegation waits. The expansion project into North Africa has been stuck for months. Vanessa walks in wearing a light blazer, pulls up a chair, and greets them in Moroccan Arabic. The room, stiff moments before, opens up. Executives who had avoided contact lean in to listen. Questions get detail. Laughs slip between figures. When you speak someone's language, you hand them respect before you even pitch. At the end, a partner places a hand on his chest, a gesture of honor, and says they've never been received like this. Vanessa answers without flourish, as if stating the obvious. You matter. It's simple. The phrase hangs in the air, and the silence that follows doesn't close anything. It just lays the ground for the next move. Midweek, Sanchez did something unexpected. He swapped the plaque on the biggest training room. The wood with gold letters disappeared. In its place, simply Morris Room, written plain. No memo, no speech, no flyers. Just a bare change, but heavy enough to eclipse flowers or cake. Hours later, a group of interns pushed open the newly named door. One of them whispered, "Who's Morris?" "The person who reminded this place that excellence doesn't need a tie," a veteran analyst answered, already heading down the hall. That same afternoon, Vanessa found a white envelope on her desk. No logo, just her name written in thick marker. Inside, a short note. "I thought I'd be invisible forever. Today I walked a little taller because of you. Thank you." No signature. Even so, every line felt like a spotlight. Vanessa reread the sentences, her throat tightening. Not from sadness, but from certainty. This went beyond routine and pay stubs. It was a ticket to something worth defending. That night, the brass replied with clockwork punctuality. Vanessa was called to a closed-door meeting. It wasn't Sanchez waiting for her, but Eleanor Craig, an influential board member flown in from Dallas. Craig arrived in a sharp suit and carried a blade-sharp reputation dating back to the 90s. She didn't shake hands or warm up. She just asked Vanessa to sit, the way you warn that every word now has a price. Vanessa opened the door on the 17th floor and took a deep breath before crossing the carpet. On the other side, Eleanor built a wall of documents, flipping through each page as if hunting for invisible flaws. Without looking up, she ordered, "Sit." The click of Eleanor's pen on the table sounded like a judge's gavel. "Miss Morris, I reviewed your file. No degree, no management courses, no leadership certificates." "True," Vanessa answered, steady. 21 days ago, you were cleaning hallways." "I was." "Explain why you're now handling negotiations that stretch across oceans." Vanessa leaned in. "I speak 6 languages and understand customs that never show up in reports. I fixed clauses that would have cost us delays in Riyadh, broke a 3-month deadlock in Marrakesh, and sealed a verbal deal with our partners in Brazil. The legal team signs next week." Eleanor pressed her lips together, hesitating for the first time. "You think a company this size can be run on instinct and charm?" "No, ma'am. It has to be run on hit targets." The silence that followed was heavy, broken only by the hum of the AC. Vanessa held her gaze, no challenge, just conviction. "You're a gamble," Eleanor concluded, closing the folder slowly, as if weighing risks. "I'm used to it," Vanessa said. "My whole life's been one." When the meeting ended, Vanessa stepped through the revolving door and sat on a bench across the street. She stared at the glass tower and remembered walking by in her cleaning uniform, wondering if anyone noticed. Now everyone noticed, though not all were happy about it. She grabbed her phone and called her daughter. They talked about groceries, the robot dog, and a new movie. The girls' laughter reset Vanessa's rhythm. Call finished, she went back inside, rode up, and by the next morning, rumors about her meeting with Eleanor Craig were already flying. Vanessa didn't shrink. She arrived early, spoke up in the meeting, took a call from Munich without an interpreter. Steady voice, calm eyes. At day's end, someone wrote on the whiteboard, "We see you." 3 words that changed the air. After that, teammates came to her not only to translate, but to test ideas and ask for direction. She coached interns before presentations and never sounded superior. Bao, a shy junior, asked how she'd learned so many languages. "1 word at a time," she said. "The same way you will." One afternoon, Sanchez showed up in the break room with 2 mugs. "People are speaking well of you," he said. "And the rest?" she asked. "Waves bother folks who like still water," he smiled. Then he pitched an idea. Create a program to develop talent beyond the shiny desks. "There are more Vanessas here," he said. "Still invisible." Vanessa traced the rim of her cup. "Let's shine a light on them," she answered. As soon as the month closed, the pilot project Inner Voice launched. Vanessa's plan mixed language classes, leadership mentoring, and bridges between departments. Result? Crowded hallways, registrations maxed out, managers already asking how to scale it. Days later, she took the stage at a logistics conference in Cincinnati. Holding the mic steady, she declared, I was never just a janitor. I spoke other languages, solved problems, and waited for the chance to show it. Many people rushed past me too fast to notice. A silence followed that seemed to hold the room's breath. When you cross paths with someone without a title, ask yourself, what am I not seeing yet? The answer came in a standing ovation. On the way out, a young man stopped her, eyes wet. My mom cleans hotel rooms and speaks 5 languages. I've always hidden that. Vanessa rested a hand on his shoulder. Don't hide your roots. The mistake is ignoring talent just because it's wearing a uniform. She left the building taller than ever, not because of praise or promotion, but because she'd kept every layer of her own story intact. Never judge someone by their badge, their department, or the resume bound in leather. Talent doesn't follow a dress code, and smarts don't wait for permission. Genius might walk the hallway with a floor squeegee in hand. If you've ever been underestimated, keep moving forward. The right person will see you. And when you earn your seat at the table, don't forget to pull up extra chairs. Thank you for sticking with this story to the end. If something in it lit a bulb inside you, carry that light to work, to home, to wherever you are. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss the next stories. See you in the next video. And until then, may you be the eyes that look beyond the badge.